Welcome to the Disruptive Franchise podcast with me, Stacey Cann. I interrupt your normal intro with exciting news. Right now, the Disruptive Franchise Awards 2026 is open for entry. So make sure you head to disruptivefranchiseawards.com/awards and get your entry in before Friday, the 6th of March. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Disruptive Franchise podcast. I am honoured to be joined today by the fabulous Helen Wilson from Gootopia. Helen, hello.
Good morning.
Feel honoured to have you here because, like me, you are Disruptive Franchise like royalty, basically. So back in 2024, like way back when, you won the Disruptive Franchisee of the Year, and I was able to pass that mantle down. And for anyone listening, Helen's pointing to her certificate above her head, which is awesome. And it was great to pass that down to you, like from one Disruptive Franchisee to another. And then last year, you were a judge for me and rescued me actually as well when we had someone call in sick. So welcome to the podcast.
Absolute pleasure to be here with the powerhouse that is yourself as well.
Bless you. Checked in the post. Tell everyone what you do. Tell us a little bit about you and your world.
So I've been a franchisee for 7 years already. So I used to run holiday clubs. I had a crossover where I was both multi-unit and multi-brand, to which now I've sold the holiday clubs in 2025. And now I'm a new franchisee for a new franchise, which is very exciting, which is called Gootopia. And it's the #1 slime entertainment venue for everybody in the UK. Where literally my world is slime now.
Super exciting. Absolutely amazing. What is it about franchising? So you said they're multi-unit, multi-franchisee, multi-territory. I was the same, though I had different franchises. And I love franchising. Everyone who listens knows that. But what is it for you about franchising that keeps you so invested?
I think it's important to know that you've got the support network around you because nobody knows everything. And you could do it as self-employed as a business owner. So I do own a separate business, Helen's Hub as well. And even then, I appreciate reaching out to the people. And I've learned this the hard way that you can't do it all on your own. And you've got to look at what can I do? What are my superpowers that I am brilliant at, which is why I'm taking the risks and being disruptive by running my own business to then where can somebody else really excel and it's worth investing in them, whether that's HR, whether that's marketing, and whether it's just simple admin tasks. And that's been really important. As being as part of a franchise, that comes collective from the franchisor. And also, if you're lucky enough, your fellow franchisees as well.
Amazing, amazing. What is it about that word disruption that you love? So we know now why you love franchising. But for me, when I think of disruptive franchise, you are like at the top. Because for me, I think probably having judged your award entry all those years ago, kind of seeing the inner workings of kind of what you did and what you kind of set up, like what is it about disruption that just lights you up? Because it clearly does.
I think it always used to be classed as a bad word. And it's not that anymore. And it's something that's not nice. It's not good. It's not the best. It's not anything that anybody could perceive as an image. It's actually somebody going out there and doing something and showing up. And whether it's the good, the bad, being accountable for when things go wrong, learning from that when it goes great, embracing the team around that supported that and the people that made it happen. And I think being disruptive, it shows that you're daring to do outside the box. Done corporate work, and this is where I had to step away from it, and franchising just happened to be the exit first before being self-employed. And for me, it was a really great transition between being in a corporate full-time job to actually becoming a business owner, because you still had that support, but you had the chance to try new things. So COVID hit, we couldn't do our holiday clubs. So I did holiday club in a box and just sent it to the kids so they could still get the half term in the houses. Other franchisees were desperate to leave their job so they could expand. They couldn't do it. So we employed them. And I think it's about looking out there and seeing where the gaps in the market. And I'm very fortunate that for me, it's always been a gift of mine that I can say, right, what's going to make our life easier? What's going to help us? We have fast food chains because we want fast food. We have online deliveries because we want fast living and all the rest of it. How can we get that really important time back to spend with family and friends so work doesn't envelope us? But at the same time, it brings new and exciting energy to things. And just disruptive. It's how people perceive it. And it's interesting because if they hear that word before they meet you, it's interesting what in their brain are they the 100-year-old, that's what it means, that actually she's going to come and cause loads of grief and trouble? Or is it somebody who's also, this is where you find your kindred spirits? Is it somebody who clocks and goes, hang on, that's somebody who thinks outside the box? That's somebody I want to get to know and do some collaboration with.
Love that. I really do. And you're so right, actually, because in corporate, like I was like a senior leader and, you know, I had a whole team. And actually the thought of my team being disruptive in corporate kind of would have made me want to run a mile and be sick in a bucket because I needed them to do what they were told. Or at least, you know, within the confines of the client relationship, please do what we promised that we're going to deliver. But you're so right. As a business owner, having that freedom to be creative and, you know, inspirational, I think I hear the word inspirational a lot in the circles that I'm in. And I think it takes the guts to go and try stuff and be different. That kind of, for me, is the baseline of what disruption truly is in that positive way. I think it's such a refreshing place to be, having been in corporate for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's people need risk takers and people to be disruptive in the world. And not everybody can do that. And it's not easy. You know, I've had sleepless nights, I've been stressed to the hill, I've been in tears. And it's a very fine balancing act between the happiness, the yes, I've got a bit of money in the bank. For me, you're also setting up the baseline for other people who aren't quite risk takers, but aren't quite stuck in a box, gives them that safety blanket. So then it's paying it forward as well. And that's something I really, really appreciate, whether I'm doing it in my franchise, in my own business, is very much I want to give people that opportunity because I've got the sturdy shoulders. I perhaps have different life responsibilities that enable me to be a bit more of a risk taker. So then other people have those opportunities. So I've got a fantastic team already. Gootopia's only been open for 6 months, really. I've not had one staff member leave. I've got from 16 plus, and I've got a brilliant team that I can invest in. They're taking, you know, into their hands. They're absolutely loving life, and I let them bring their own personalities into it because it's about getting the right people around you to make your vision also pay forward as well.
Yeah, I love that. I was actually in a potential franchisee interview this week. And we talked through all their experience and everything else. And he asked me, what is it that you're looking for? Like, what experience do I need to have? And I said, well, actually, your experience, it doesn't massively matter. It's you as a type of person. And the whole point of being, you know, and we do ours on Zoom, like the whole point of being on the Zoom with you really isn't to, it sounds really weird, but isn't really to hear what you've done. It's to see how you are. Because like you say, if you've got that right person in, you can train them. You can train them the skills that they need, you know, as long as they're teachable and they want to learn. But you can't train somebody to be the right person, can you?
You can't train personality. You can support with day-to-day tasks because that's what lists were invented for. So that's not a problem. But you've got to find the right people. And I think that's really, really important. And in franchising, that's a huge mistake that I've seen over and over again. And it's something that we've reflected on. And, you know, from networking, I've said it to franchisors, find the right franchisees, have less of them, invest in them, and they will grow and flourish underneath you. Otherwise, you're going to be losing control. You're going to be losing your vision. You're going to lose the core of why you're a franchisor. And it can be really frustrating because then as a fellow franchisee, you can see people coming in and you're just thinking, why? Why are they here? They're going rogue. They're doing this. They're doing X, Y, and Z. It's almost like that being at school again, where you're a bit like, oh, well, you know, they're getting rewarded for bad behavior because they're not bad for once, yet the ones that are cracking on just get forgotten about and things. And I think it needs to be that bigger picture of supporting those that are there. Again, even in franchising, those people are still taking a massive risk. They're still being disruptive. They're still wanting to fill a void, whether it's in their local area for themselves, and then it's just having that franchisor to go, do you know what? They're in that group, they're in that group, they're in that group. How can I support those different groups to then let's go to the next level? They're happy staying at that and just really understanding those different levels. So everybody's being disruptive in franchising on completely different levels, but does everybody understand that and embrace that? Because signing up for your own business and into a franchise is a huge, huge responsibility. It's a huge financial risk. everything is dependent on a partnership. And I think it's just about having that support system in place and embracing actually new ideas. Let's freshen this, let's keep this in there, and having those conversations. I think disruption, if people embrace it and understood it more, would actually just increase business value so much more than it currently is.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's funny, one of the things I get, so at the moment, the as we film this, the Disruptive Franchise Awards 2026 are open for entry. And what we hear when we kind of go out and say to people, like, are you going to enter? They're like, oh yeah, but I'm not very disruptive. Like, you don't realize how disruptive you are just from being in franchise. It's a real perception thing, isn't it? I think, like, I'm not naughty enough almost at school to be recognized for being the bad child. Or I'm so compliant that I don't stand out. And I think it, like, from my experience of judging these awards a few years ago, it's not always the things that you think are going to win when you put those entries in. And I think a lot of the time, because we sit in our own little silo of what we're doing, we don't really fully appreciate how different that is to everybody else, because we just assume that everyone's doing the same thing, right? So tell us a little bit about your experience from judging as well, because I'd love to hear that.
Well, I absolutely loved it. So I was really fortunate in 2024, and I always do with when I enter awards, it's very much the year before. So for this year, I would have been looking back at 2025. What have I done? And I take notes now because I think it's really important. We can forget even the tiniest wins throughout a year, and it can get overshadowed if something happens, whatever. So start taking notes if you ever want to open awards, because it will blow your mind what you've actually done in the past year. But then to me, I have to look at what have I done that as a franchisee, I'm required to do anyway. It's in my franchise contract and it's my job. Because that isn't standout, that's doing what you turned up to do in the first place. To enter awards, you have to add that next layer of special. So it's not the core stuff. Everybody's going to do that great, because otherwise your franchisor is going to be having a little cry in the background. So what is the next level? What you're doing in the community? How have you increased your customer base? Yes, income is important, but if you're increasing your customers and awareness, that's going to happen anyway. What events are you supporting? Who are you sponsoring? How are you supporting fellow franchisees? How are you being innovative in the area with your actual product or service that you're doing? And it needs to go to that next level. It needs to have that evidence to back it up, because anybody could sit there on an award thing and write anything. And as a judge, you could just sit there and go, oh, they're doing a great time. And it could be absolute waffle for all we know, because we don't know that person, don't know if their Instagram's reflective, the LinkedIn, and it's human to see in franchise the good and the bad. You don't need to deep dive it, but if you're just posting all the good things all the time, that's not reality. And it can almost be misleading to almost think that this person, have they seen the other side of it? Have they been through anything? And you actually get appreciated more for learning from things that have happened. Really pull that forward into business, and so your business grows stronger and you develop as a person. So for me, it's like this year, I've already said I'm not entering any franchisee awards, although, I was multi franchisee last year. For 6 months, and I did amazing, and we did great, and we got great numbers. For me, it was a transition period, and it was me about sowing seeds, and now I've got the one franchise, and yes, I'm multi-unit again already. It's not enough. Yes, I've done what I needed to do as a franchisee, but I haven't done enough to what I want to do to really make an impact. So yes, there's entrepreneur awards, which possibly, but it's about being honest as well, and not just rehashing things you did 5 or 10 years ago and saying, oh, in the future, I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's about laying the groundwork. I've started the process to do this, because anybody could say, I could say, yeah, I'm going to go and, perform for the Queen, and we're going to go make slime. It's a great idea. The reality of it, it hasn't happened yet. And I think that's really important to remember in awards. Be starting a process, you need to put justification behind it, so it doesn't just look whimsical, not just what you want or whatever. It needs to be about doers, and especially disruptive doers, people who don't just talk about it. Yeah, it's scary, but they're going out, they're trialing it, it'll work or it doesn't work. Right, what's next? What are we doing? And I think from judging, I absolutely love judging it. And I ended up judging also the She Inspires Awards, which was phenomenal, and some brilliant ladies in that as well. And I got told I'm quite a harsh judge, which was funny. And I was like, I just want, for me, it's about the evidence base. It's about seeing those things that are outside the box, not just the what's written in your job description, what you should be doing, but also how it's adding value to other people as well as to yourself. And I think it's just so exciting. And stack it up with quotes from every other single person you know, that would hold so much more steam than just you writing about yourself. Get your neighbour, get the postman, get your person that work, an employee, a customer, somebody you've partnered with. All of that would hold so much more fire and passion, because these are other people taking time out, which time is so precious for anybody these days. That holds more clarity than anything that even you could sell from your perspective as well.
Completely agree with that. I think from certainly when I didn't like judge last year, and it was really nice to just see what happened. But the year that I judged it, and other awards that I've judged as well, I find that there's nothing more frustrating than having like this amazing entry written out, and they've really gone to town about what they've done or what they've tried, but there's no evidence. And it's that lack of evidence that stops the rightful winners sometimes being the winners, because the judges have a mandate. You know, the judges are there with a criteria that they have to mark against, and it's not enough to say I did X, Y, Z. And I think from working with other people who enter awards, I never really suffered this so much, because I always look at it as a marketing task. It's not about me, it's about marketing the business. But a lot of people, it's such a big deal for them to write about the achievements and the things that they've done, that they kind of go, oh, done. But they forget the evidence. And if you forget the evidence, then you're still not going to hit top marks, because we can't give you top marks unless you kind of prove it. And I think another kind of thing that I get a lot of is, well, I don't know what evidence to give. This year, actually, we've gone to town on it. We've given like a really kind of descriptive, like, here's what we're looking for. This is the kind of thing you're going to be judged on. Here's example of evidence. Because I think it really tripped a lot of people up last year of like, you know, I don't know what evidence to give you. But like you say, go and speak to people. Go and get a quote from your franchisor. Go and get your customer testimonials. Like, prove it. That's what we need, right?
And that's the thing. And I think, isn't it scary though, that as a business owner, you're in it to make money and to succeed. So how do you not know what you've actually just succeeded in year on year? And every win is a win. And that is something it took me 6 years to learn in franchising when I started doing the awards. And I was applying for awards for like 3 years. I was never a finalist, then I was a finalist. And I was like, what's not pushing it? And I was just like, do you know what? There's so much. Then I'd sit there and go, I've missed out about half of what I've done this past year, because they were brilliant, but because it was one day or a little snippet, you just gloss over it. And that's why it's so, so important. Keep a journal of the good and the bad. And then you do your year reflection. And as a business owner, why on earth aren't we doing that? Why aren't we looking back and going, actually, you know, we had a brilliant time. So we just saw that other franchise and we were a bit like, oh, you know, we were hoping to make it bigger or changes. And it had run its course, which is absolutely fine. But then looking back now with fresh clarity, we can go, actually, we were disruptive. We were trailblazers. We did nothing that nobody else had ever done in the years before us. We had made good money. We had got the biggest customer base. We did have the biggest club. Actually, looking back, we know it's a success story, even though it didn't feel it at the time. And I'm very aware now of taking that into the new franchise, to have that opportunity. And it's interesting what you said about your check sheet there as well, because one thing I would say, I know I sell myself 1,000 times better in person and talking rather than on a sheet of paper. I've got a bit of help because I used to do personal tutor for A-level kids, so my UCAS skills are pretty good. For me, I would rather get on video and do, right, here's my props, here's everything, this is my entry. I'm going to give you the same level of excitement I've got. You can see that I'm here, I'm passionate, I'm telling you the truth. This is what I've prepped for. And some people, I encourage that. We had a couple in the Disruptive where they sent links. I was like, yes, I've got visuals, because also I'm a visual person. So if it is a lot of words, actually, and I said to you, didn't I? Because it was coming up to the deadline. You're like, Helen, fill it in, fill it in. I was like, I'm reading it 4 times. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, because I read it the first time, but I've never taken all that information the first time. So I left it a couple of days, read it again. And there was 90 odd, but you know, we've all got time to read bits and bobs. And for me, there was something new every time. It's like rewatching your favourite film. No matter how many times we watch The Holiday, we're always going to see something new or something that makes our heart twinge or whatever, no matter how many times we see it. And I think that's really important, is that, you know, do whatever makes you feel better, that you come across the best. Is it verbal? Is it written? Is it on video? What is it? and really pull that through and speak to the awards people. They're going to appreciate and understand that. Same as a school environment, everybody learns differently. In a workplace environment, everybody has different needs to support them to get the best out of them. And awards are no different. But why are people thinking, right, this is how it's written, it's static, I can't ask the question? And this is where some more awards people do need to be a bit more personable, rather than, because there are some charlatan ones out there, let's be honest, that just want your money, you rock up, it's a clique thing and all the mates are going to win. I'm not a particular fan of voting ones myself, because I don't think it's right for some industries, but not necessarily ones that I've been involved in. And you can just see them popping up left, right and centre. And I think it's important that you find the right ones for you, the ones that mean something and resonate with what you're doing and the message you're trying to come across. So I entered the BFA Trailblazer, I entered the Disruptive Awards. For me, they are two words that cry out more than anything that I am proud to be associated with and I strive to be associated with, because that is the heart of everything that I do.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I find the vote for ones really tough because, particularly in a franchise environment, you've got, in theory, it should be your customers that go vote for that. But you've got a whole franchise network behind you that you're also going to go tell vote for that. And I find that, look, there's no shade on people who do it or enter them. I never enter those awards. We don't have it like that at Disruptive because I don't want it to be about who can get the most votes. I want it to be about the right quality of entry and the evidence that's provided. And I'll tell you what, actually, so this is an exclusive for this episode. We didn't do it this year, but I really did toy with making it video entry only. Imagine that. I think I'd get far less.
You need a mix of both, because there'll be some people that won't even go on the camera for their own business.
But
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons that I didn't. But I do think that, like, we did have some video entries last year, and they really stood out because they were different, and it was disruptive in the way that they entered the awards, because we didn't necessarily ask for that. This year we have said written entries, mainly because, and we've really limited the word count this year as well, because we had some last year that were like 3,000 words. And what I found frustrating, although I wasn't judging, was that there are obviously people that have like a set award entry and then it just goes in, regardless of what they're entering for. And I find that's a real shame, actually, because those are the people who probably do deserve to win, but won't win because they're not answering the question. So I think it's always a challenge of kind of how we mix it up. And certainly if anyone, like, I think we should be accessible. We should be encouraging accessibility in terms of the entries. So if anyone struggles with the written word, they should absolutely be allowed to enter video. But I wonder what we'd get from a video. Like, that disruptive part of my brain just goes, but what if we just did video only? And yes, it
I'll
would.
show you in 2027.
Love it.
I'll send you mine. Yeah, it'll be the 7.1. But a nice thing that perhaps people could think of for this year is do your written, so it's in words, but get your testimonials on video. Get people and film them, or get them to film themselves if they're comfortable to, because again, you can just see that those people are loving that they're supporting that person and stuff. And maybe that's a way, or a little bit of what you're saying, oh, this is what I've done. If you're doing a community thing, if you can get a snippet of it or something, your evidence, more maybe visuals of evidence would be lovely for the awards. I'm not even a judge this year, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a great judging this thing. But I'm available, Stacey, just in case you need me. But yeah, it's really, really nice. And I think, like I say, people just need to start at basics and just remember everything that they have done and why they're there. Why are they disruptive? Because sometimes the entries are also too nice. And there was a couple of people I was thinking, and some of them I didn't know, and some that I had met previous, and I'm thinking, you're more disruptive than this. This is a really nice piece. And I'm thinking, you're not like this. And I was just like, go with the word. You're entering disruptive. You need to be really, really pushing those boundaries. There's other places to do a nice entry. You've got to go with exactly what you said. It's about tweaking it. So I remember in 24, I had a base. One of the awards was like 3 times longer than everybody else, and luckily it was the first one. So every time I entered one, I was conscious to take out the parts that were relevant if it was a slightly different category or slightly different themes or slightly different evidence than that. And it does take time. It really takes time to put it in there, which is why it's important to make sure you've got stacked a lot of evidence and things to go for these awards, because you'll get disheartened if you don't win or you're not a finalist. But then, have you got the evidence? Have you actually done enough that year that's beyond your job to then actually anything else? And I think, like, for me to say I'm not doing any this year, I could, and I could go and put it in, and I could go and write something wonderful, but I know it'll be nowhere near enough compared to other people who I've been up against and what it took to win the other year. Nowhere near it. Absolutely nowhere near it. So rather than focusing my energies on that, I'm focusing my energies on creating and doing things this year with that goal in mind. So don't even think that you have to enter awards just because you have to do it. You need to have a purpose. You need to have a point. What marketing are you going to pull from it? How's it going to benefit your business? How will it support your customers? There needs to be a reason why. Same as I go to networking events. I go to learn, I go to be inspired, but I'm always on the search. Some people will need slime in their life at some point. Some people will know people that need slime in their life. It's not a hard sell. It will just happen. But how can I help you? Is there a collaboration? Is there, right, what's the next event? Oh, you do podcasts. Oh, that training day sounds good. It needs to be a whole agenda, because we're investing in money and time, but there's so much more than just the blank canvas that people go into. And awards isn't just about the award and recognition. What are they going to actually do with it? Are you going to get in your local press? Is it going to help you to get an interview? Is it going to increase your customers? What else can you get from it? So I think the pressure of entering awards needs to come off people as well, and they need to enjoy it. If you're enjoying it, it will also come naturally, and I think that's super important.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. And you're right. It's not just got an entry in at the last minute. The year that I won the Disruptive Franchise, it was like literally there were 30 minutes before the awards closed. I wasn't even going to enter. But the reason I could do that was because I had, like you say, this bank of stuff that I already knew from the last 12 months. I kind of had that collected, so I could do it. I could get away with it. But it's what happens next. We had like one particular winner this year for 2025, and the amount of press articles she generated alone was phenomenal. And she took the award with her on a little tour of her like local town, and we saw the award pop up in the supermarket, and it was just wonderful. It was just so good. She got so much out of it because she really just embraced the fact that she'd won. It's the first award that she'd ever won. And we had others that kind of, went and did some press from it and stuff like that. And that's really nice. Some have used it in their franchise recruitment and stuff like that. So, but I do think, and we talked about this on the day, I'm sure we did, like, what's the intention? What is next? This isn't the end because you hold the trophy or you hold the certificate. What is next? This is springboard. Use it as a springboard. I want to ask you a question that popped in my head. So you didn't realise that you were coming on stage to present awards until the morning of. So we had lovely Danny Wallace was one of my award presenters, and we got a call at 7 a.m. we won't talk about the night before. It had been a late night.
I blame active marketing.
Yes, absolutely. Katie and James, 100%. Sorry, guys, if you're listening, but it's all on you. But so got a bit of a panic call at about 7:30 in the morning. Hi, Helen. Could you present the first 3 awards? And like a trooper, as my hero, you're like, absolutely. Like, you just stepped up and you did it. But what I think surprised everyone in the room was that you hadn't planned that. Like, you hadn't been able to have a practice or read the names first. Like, you just did it like cold. Here we go. Let's just get you on. And you did such an amazing job of it. What was that like, and what came of it? Because I'm sure that you got some opportunities out of it, or I hope that you did. But like, tell me more.
Well, it's really funny. So in my other life, because my CV is very colourful, I used to be an entertainment manager for Thomas Cook Holidays for about 7 years. So I worked overseas, and I was always the host. I wasn't the singer or dancer. If I had to, then I did, and I can crack out a tune occasionally. And it used to be me that would have 3,000 people. I'd be hosting Battle of the Sexes or whatever on stage and having the bands and things like that. So it was never a problem. Like, before that, I'd never even been able to say boo to a ghost. I used to do a bit of theatre and things, but I was never a main character or anything like that. And I think having that and being in that environment, it just relaxed more into actually having conversations. And then lovely Sue, who's in Cheshire, all her networking events and things, it was like, oh, can you come and host the raffle, make it a bit more exciting? Oh, can you just lead this catwalk thing? And just random people have been doing it. And to be honest, I can still host quite an awesome mini disco, to which I still can cha-cha slide the wrong way and Star Trek like I'm an 18-year-old. But I really just enjoy sharing my story. And this is where a lot of conversations come about into networking and speaking. And obviously I was very fortunate because obviously I know Danny Wallace from having attended events the past 3 years. I know her really quite well. So I know what she was doing. So I felt quite confident in going and talking about her. I think that's also from doing welcome meetings back in my day as a rep. You've got your information and you're there to tell people, it's not a hard sell. And the fact that we're doing awards and things, it's brilliant to be up there. And yeah, a couple of people came up to me afterwards and asked me, "Oh, what do you speak?" And I was like, "Oh, God, I'll add that to my list." But I am putting together different packages from my specialities that actually somebody could have me as a speaker, whether that be at a franchise conference, whether that's at an exhibition on our event or anything, because as I'm learning, and maybe it's the thing as you get older, more wisdom behind you and experiences, I know I've been on a journey as a franchisee. I know that I can be a voice to support and to help and assist that perhaps missing from the sector at this moment in time. And for me to be able to help other people, because I know how hard it was for some of the stuff that we went through, thanks to all environmental things and goodness knows what, to be able to pass that on again is part of what I do and why I do the things that I'm currently doing project wise. And I think it's just the speaking side of it. You always think these are people that are paid, they're big names, they're up there. And again, it's that next step in my journey to go, "Oh yeah, I can't do that, can't do that." And I'm looking in all these people, and then I'm having conversations when they're coming off the lights, little celebrities still, and it's like, then you find out, oh, some of them are paid to be on stage. Some of them have bought sponsorships, so they've got that right in the package to be on stage. Some of them are paid to be on stage. And I was like, actually, that's another accessible thing. But until you've done your own journey to then go, oh, actually, yeah, I'm ready for that. And I was fortunate I go to the Encouraging Women in Franchising regional meetings up in the Northwest. And as one of the very few franchisees who attend it, and Georgie went, "Do you want to speak?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I whacked some stuff up and I just thought, and the questions and things from the people in the room, I just thought I could have broken that into 5 different topics that would have been totally relevant and helpful to other people. So whether it's franchisee, whether it's multi-unit, whether it's staff and training, because my background is customer management and all the rest and leadership. And I was just like, yeah, this is a journey that I'm definitely exploring for 2026 as well. So, yeah, I've got a couple of things. I can't announce anything publicly yet, but just keep an eye on the socials. But if you do want me as a speaker, stroke entertainer, I do host an amazing speed networking as well. I did do one of them. Somebody said 5 minutes beforehand, "We need to do something. Can you fill a gap?" And I was like, yeah, I've seen this thing on YouTube. Let's try it. And it actually worked brilliantly. So speed networking, news, speed dating is definitely the way forward. But I just love it, and I'm very fortunate that I can feel energy and vibes off people in a room, so I can change my tact. I can change what I'm perhaps trying to understand. Again, it might be from an education background and things as well. It's just I'm able to read people and support people and get that they're getting whatever I'm saying, because I don't ever want it to be empty words, because we all know after the first 10 seconds if somebody's not engaging, they're gone, they're done. And, it might be that it's the shortest thing in the world, the longest thing in the world. Some people might listen to this and go, "God, she's waffling to death." Anna Neville will probably listen to this because she's a good friend, but she'll probably sit at this point and go, "Helen, just get back to the point that you're talking about." Or she might be like, "Yeah, totally resonate." But this is the funny thing, isn't it? I mean, we can sit and chat. I feel like we're just in the same house at the moment, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I think more people, if they spoke to each other and realised that people were in the same positions and had the same trajectory. And unfortunately, it's sometimes not your best mates and your family. My family haven't got a clue what we do. My friends, they support it. Again, don't have any clue what to do. And it's hard to have the conversations when you need that kind of support from those kind of people. And that's why it's so important, franchising, in networking. And then you find your tribe. Like, I know I can pick up the phone to you, Stacey, and just have a conversation with you because I know you just get it and because you're doing it and you've been there. And I think that's really, really important and really exciting to do. And this is even speaking on a stage as opposed to just speaking to each other. I think we just need to do more of it.
completely agree. That's what I love about doing the event itself, is that we have all this build up and we've got the podcast, but actually something quite magical happened in the room where the connections are made. And there were people that came to the Disruptive Franchise Awards that I've been in touch with for years, but never actually met in person. And it's so lovely to be around people who just get it and just celebrate the same thing. And actually, it sounds really cheesy, but it comes up on the podcast quite a lot, but just really supportive, because you can't go and have some of those conversations with your partner or your family, or your friends just don't get it in the same way. So yeah, completely love that. Completely agree. And what would you do if you could do anything at all without fear of failure? I feel like you do a lot of it anyway, but like, what's the one thing that you would absolutely be like doing this if there was no chance of failure?
Do you know what? It's hard to say. I mean, it's the 20th of January, and within the past 2 weeks, we've already decided that we're getting a mobile single-decker bus that we're going to do slime on at festivals up and down the country, which wasn't even thought of 20 days ago. So in fact, nobody else does it. I'm like, yeah, how hard can it be to find bus drivers, insurance, and deck it out? Sure, it'll be fine. We'll just do it as we go along. I think a massive factor in anything is money, because for me, by the end of this year, I'd go global with slime. Dead easy. It's such a simple concept, and meeting the right people and going, but it's literally finances. There's the boundary for anything, because you need to travel, you need to pay for this, you need to pay for that, whatever. And until you've actually set up your business to get that extra income outside of obviously paying wages, bit of profit for yourself, and to reinvest into growth and the likes, it's really, really hard to expand at the speed sometimes your brain's going. And that could be a bit of a hindrance for disruptive and trailblazers, and why so many things aren't available now is just having that access to opportunity more. So again, that's why I like with Danny Wallace, she gets such a room of versatile people that actually you've got your top enders who've been doing it so many years, to your new starters, to your middle, and you can have those conversations, because you just need to find the right person. And I don't think we get that enough, to then take those steps without having to rely on money so much. Because even with the franchise, I think it's amazing for young people to get into entrepreneurship and all that. But how many of them now, especially, I loved your video the other day on about why getting student debt and all that, invest it into a franchise. But then where is that coming from? Are they going to be the sensible and also trying to get a house at the same time? It's a lot less accessible these days than perhaps it was. So for me, I'd love to just go global, and because I've got all the tools, I've been doing it for 7 years. My husband's got, 20 years business experience between us. We could literally just do it within the year. But the actual accessibility to that, it isn't as easy as it is. Luckily, one of my staff members is migrating to Australia, so that hopefully will be Australia ticked off. So I might have to do my next one from there. Well, I have to go and set it up for a month.
Yeah.
I need to be able to support her. But again, it's about finding outside the box. How can we do this without the biggest things, which is probably money and time, are the biggest constraints in being disruptive or a trailblazer. And I think that these aren't things that we can change, but how can we work around them? Because there might be somebody who's listening to this now going, my God, Helen's great. We've got a venue near us, anywhere in the country that could go, right, there's a Gootopia. And they're going to message me and go, hey, go, Helen, here's a venue, come and check it out. And that might happen. It might not happen. Who knows? But we've got to just plant these opportunities wherever we can, don't we? So for me, I would just literally, whatever I'm focused on is just take it as big as possibly I can, because whether it's Gootopia or my business, Helen's Hub, which is just coming, I do event childcare, I do a glitter bar, and I do a Trailblazing Solution Squad, which is going to be a directory of professionals to help with those quick wins. It's just a power hour, because sometimes somebody just needs a conversation for an hour with the right person. They don't need a new employee, they don't need a contract, they literally just need that 1 hour. And it's a mission niche. But because of financial things, whatever, it's had to have a back burn and trying to balance everything. And it's just about getting these tools out there to help people as fast and as efficiently as we can fill those plugs in the market. That we go, if we just had this, it would be brilliant. So yeah, there's a long list of other things I'd love to do. I want to build a massive, rescue cat sanctuary, because I'm not allowed more than 3. I was divorced. I'd love to help all kids get active and mental and physical well-being. I've had a conversation, I think it was with Amrit, about something, talking about care homes, and slime, the help and the mental, it's just finding the time to do it all. I wish I had more time.
The time, isn't it? It's the same here. There's so much that could help the world and could really like me up. But it's time. It always comes down to time. And I kind of feel like for those that are at that kind of more entrepreneurial, maybe more disruptive end, it's not really the fear of failure that gets in the way. It's the constraint on the time and sometimes the energy that takes. But yeah, absolutely.
But that's it, yeah. We just need more people to come out who are the ones that have a safety net, but can perhaps offer enough of their energy to support. So then it all starts building this wonderful community that can really just help visions come to life, but enough of what each person can bring to the table. Because even that specialist area, that small bit could have such a big impact. And that's what people need to remember, is whatever their superpower is, that is, something really, really special, and share it. Just keep it to yourself. Let's share it out there. And that's why the power of collaboration is so, so important as well.
On that note, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, you could say, I was about to say fax, but most of the kids won't know what one of those is. You could obviously, so I am gootopiacheshire@gmail.com, or of course we are on socials. We've set up a new local Gootopia page for the Northwest because we're just trialing some things at the minute from the national. And also you can get in touch via Helen's Hub. I'm very active on LinkedIn, especially the new games. I didn't realise how good I was. And actually, my little buzz at the moment, if you haven't been on LinkedIn for a while, is you get to see who the top 10 is. And I'm like, I just beat the CEO of so-and-so. Oh, so-and-so's just beaten me. And actually it sparks some reconnections and conversations because people are like, oh, she's getting active with that. And a bit of a joke message is coming up. And actually you're reigniting reconnections. So if you haven't done it yet, do the mini games on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn's a great one. You can find me on there as well. And yeah, let's connect. Let's have conversations. Sometimes it'll be right. Sometimes it won't. Don't be disheartened if people just say no. That's a big thing for me this year. I am going to be saying no to things that don't feel right and, on the trajectory, because I said yes to everything and it gets too much. And if you have too much going on, you do things well, but nothing great. And for me, it's about being very particular about making sure that, it's in the right place, in the right time, the right energy for everything to make sure it is a success.
That's what we want. Love it. Helen, I've loved having you. We could literally talk for hours and hours, as we often do. But I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for sharing about your journey, about what it's been like being involved with Disruptive Franchise, and how you're going to take over the world eventually. Loved it.
And we're going to take everybody with me in some way or format as well. But I'm very excited to come to the event. And it's earlier as well, isn't it?
It is.
This
Yeah,
year.
well, typically it would always be in kind of June. And then last year, because I only took it over in February, it couldn't be in June because had to save my sanity. So we pushed it back. Last year was late, but actually this year we're back in our rightful spot in June. And we'll see you there. Exciting.
Yes, very excited. But no, thank you so much for your time. And like I say, if any other further conversations or anything come up, then let's get them out there, because I think it just reminds people we're all in this. We're all in this sector. We're all wanting the opportunity to just make things really cool and do something different. And you've got people out there to help that. So, if you need me and Stacey in your corner, where are you?
We're ready. We're ready. Love it. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next week. Before we finish up today, I'd love to just thank our podcast sponsors, Book When and Make Your Mark Podcast Agency, without whom this episode wouldn't have been possible. You can find more information on both amazing companies in the show notes. If you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, please also make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And I would absolutely love it if you left a review too. See you next time.